Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, the last thing you said to me before we hit record was we're going to go through some season-long bold predictions from last season before we do our bold predictions for this year's spring game. And the last words you said to me before you hit record were, there may be some controversy. So, man, oh man, can I not wait to find out what nonsense this is going to be?
Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know if it's nonsense. And I know you'll think it is, but we can't confirm this live while we're talking. So we'll just have to see when it's not nonsense. And instead, that's where it becomes controversy. And we'll see. But we did want to go over, I don't believe we've done this before. So the best way to wrap up last season, national championship season, before we start talking about our bold predictions for this season and really just the spring game, let's go back, Tom, because when you look over these bold predictions, I mean, it gives you a pretty good picture of where our minds were when we did this sometime after the spring game last year. So we had the spring game in our minds. We had seen Jeremiah Smith. We had seen Julian Sand. And I'll go through mine here, Tom. Here's one that I got. Jeremiah Smith will be the first freshman ever with 1,000 yards receiving, and we put a cap on 13 games. Thanks for those 13 games. I could have done it and just 12 or maybe even 11, I forget. But yeah, I totally got that one. Would you like to congratulate me? Because nobody saw this coming for Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, this is still the time of year last year when I was trying to be really responsible and not get people too excited about Jeremiah Smith and not build up the hype too much. Just looking out for the player and the individual. You obviously were not encumbered by any kind of that kind of concern for your fellow man. So, I mean, if you feel that's worthy of congratulations, then I guess that's fine.
Yeah, I don't care about people. This is serious. This is about a bold predictions contest. Tom, do you want to hear another one that I got correct? Another 1-pointer?
Sure. I would really love to know how many of these you're going to have, and then also how many of mine I'm going to have. But I guess we'll go one by one, and we'll make me suffer a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is what everybody wants to hear. At least 2 shutouts in the regular season. The last time Ohio State did this was in 2013. Tom, do you remember the 56-0 shutout against Western Michigan and the 45-0 shutout against Purdue? Do you remember those by chance?
Now that you say them, yes. If you had asked me before you said which games it was and asked me which one it was, I would have come up probably with Western Michigan, and I might have guessed Purdue. I thought I remembered Purdue scoring some, a touchdown or something late, but no. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, 2 shutouts. Well done. That's good stuff. Now, were those against 2 of the worst teams in FBS? Yeah. I mean, is that really bold?
I don't see you doing it. Tom, enough about me. Let's talk about you. Let's give not what the people want, but let's give you what you want. Would you like to hear one that you got correct over the course of an entire season, 16 games, because we didn't put a cap on this one? You boldly predicted at least 150 punt return yards this season for the Buckeyes. Ooh. I predict they'll average 9 punt return yards per game. Good job, Tom. And would you like to know, you made this one. Thank you basically to Caleb Downs for returning a punt, 88 yards for a touchdown or whatever it was. Anyway, they finished with 204 punt return yards. Brandon Ennis was 14 for 107. Caleb Downs, 6 for 98. Jaden Ballard, 1 for 0. Your guy, David Adolph, 1 for 0. Emeka Ibuka, little used receiver, 1 for -1. So good job. You got one, Tom. I know people were surprised that they heard your name so soon when talking about a season-long bold predictions contest, but good on you.
That's good to hear. I'm encouraged that despite Emeka Ibuka's best efforts to bring my total down, I was able to overcome his efforts and get that one. Go on and keep going with all the other ones I got correct. Hopefully.
Well, here's the problem, Tom. There may not be any others. Now, I will say there are no other 1-pointers that we got correct. I can run through my 3 that that the players got wrong for me. I said that OSU would average more yards per carry than the defense allows per pass attempt. They came close. They didn't quite get there. That's more than a 1-pointer, but we settled for 1. I had Sonny Styles with 17 tackles for loss. He was around 12 or 13 or something like that, 10 and a half maybe. I also, somewhat foolishly, somewhat pie in the skyly, said that Ohio State would average 220 for the entire season. I don't need to look. They didn't do it. So those are my 1-point misses. Would you like to hear all of your 1-point misses? You missed 4 of your 5, as we know.
I would really just love to move right ahead to the thing that you're calling a controversy, which tells me it's definitely going to just be, everyone I'm sure has already done the math and gone, he's only down 1 point and all his 1-pointers missed. So this controversial one will be what hinges who wins the season-long old predictions. And everyone, I'm sure, can feel just the absolute nonsense that's about to come out of your mouth. So why don't we just go straight to that?
Well, you got your 3-pointer correct, Tom, which was there will be 4 1,000-yard producers.
Oh, well,
of
how
course,
about that?
And I rightfully said this doesn't count quarterbacks. But yes, you got your 2 1,000 receivers, your 2 1,000-yard rushers. I also that was your 3-pointer. I got my 2-pointer correct, which was that Jeremiah Smith breaks all of the freshman records in 12 games, which he did. My 3-pointer was that a receiver will have a 217-yard game. He did not. Now, would you like to get to the controversy?
More than anything in the world. So at worst, I've tied, and now you're just desperately clinging on to the sad, pathetic hope of a tie. Yes, go on, Tony. What is
now? Here's the thing: your 2-pointer was that Jeremiah Smith will score touchdowns from 1 to 10 yards, 11 to 20 yards, 21 to 30 yards, 51 or 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60, and 61 to 70. I believe that is 7 different yardage ranges there. And Tom, the thing is, he did all of that. But there was also a caveat that the 11 to 20 yards, that the 17-yarders either negate or don't count. And I just have 17-yard in parentheses. Because here's the thing, Tom. Here's the thing. Now, let me finish. You wanted the controversy. You got to let me give you the controversy. He did score a 16-yard touchdown. However, he also scored 2 17-yard touchdowns. And actually he had a 19-yard touchdown run as well. So I don't know if the 2 17-yard touchdowns cancel out the other 2 from 11 to 20, or if it happens to have been a 17-yarder, it wouldn't count. That doesn't really sound like something we would do. Sounds like we have more like it would cancel out one of those. So your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we can certainly go back and listen to ensure that I'm correct and I have won, because this is obviously a very important thing. And I will seek out that show where we did this last spring, and I will find it, and we'll figure it out which one it is. My suspicion is that that the 17-yarders won't count. That would be the 17-yarders don't count seems very much like that's where we probably would have landed. But, if not, then you have the statistical fluke of statistical flukes of all time that you are falling back on. I mean,
what are you rooting for here, though?
I'm rooting to. Am I rooting to beat you in this? Yes, Tony, I'm rooting to beat you in this. Absolutely. And I will go back and I will find it, because this is the kind of thing that is very important. So, we'll get this settled. This isn't controversial. This is just, you didn't take good notes, which really should be like minus a half a point for you anyway. But, that's fine.
Where are your notes?
Well, that's a good question. Let me see if I can find them in my,
while you're doing that, I can give you your 1-point misses. You had Ohio State defense holding opponents to under 10 points per game in the regular season. It was 10.9, way off. You had Nick McClarty having a punt of at least 76 yards. Did not happen. You had Julian Sayin finishing second in completions, attempts, yards, and touchdowns. Did not happen. You had the Buckeyes with at least 10 passing plays of 50 yards. They fell well short of that with just 9.
I don't seem to have last year's. I have the full season ones, but they appear to be from. They appear to be from, well, last year, but I don't have. This might have been the preseason ones and not the spring ones, because I have ones involving Julian Sayin and other things like that. But I will have to go back and find the original show, which I will do, and we'll get this all sorted out, because this is not the kind of thing that can be allowed to linger unanswered. So we'll get to that. But Tony, in the meantime, you have an opportunity to do something that's far less important than winning an entire season. You get to potentially at least compete for a spring game bold predictions with Tony. I mean, it's basically, Ohio State's going to be getting rings at the spring game. I saw that Ryan Day was checking out the championship rings. If I do find it and I have time, do you think you can get my bold predictions full season ring made in time to have me accept mine at the spring game as well? Do you have time for that, or no?
No, Tom, I do not have time for that. I'll be too busy fuming. Really, and these gaudy rings, you wouldn't want that. Like, you need to be more understated. That way people can maybe respect you. But once you start wearing too much bling, they're going to be like, I do not like this guy even more than I didn't like him before. I will say, Tom, you will not be able to go back and find those shows. I've since deleted them while you were talking. So just run it out of space. This is a storage issue, nothing more, just those particular shows. But anyways, this will be more of an abbreviated thing for the spring bold predictions, because I'm looking at last year's, and we went all out on last year's bold spring predictions, the spring game predictions. And I have no idea if any of those hit. And really,
and I pulled up last year's spring game box score, which I will pay you your annual compliment. And it's not just that this is a compliment that I pay you annually about this particular thing, but also this is the one time of year that I say something nice about Tony. Tony is excellent at SEO for Ohio State spring game box scores. You can find out where Tony was writing by just searching Ohio State spring game box score and then year, and you will always have Tony's come up first. It is uncanny. Tony, well done. BuckeyeHuddle.com hosting the spring game box score from last year. And I want to run through some basics on this, because people are going to listen to what we're talking about and numbers we're talking about here and go, what? That's not bold at all. Last year's spring game leading passer was Julian Sayin with 85 yards. Last year's leading rusher was Sam Williams-Dixon, who ran for 75, pretty much all, I believe, in the second half. Behind him was Air Noland, also in the second half. Behind him was James Peoples, also in the second half. The leading rusher among guys who played significant time was Quinshon Judkins, 4 rushes, 31 yards. Last year's starting quarterback, Will Howard, 9 for 13, 77 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Emeka Ibuka, 4 catches, 47 yards. The leading receiver was David Adolph, 4 catches for 50 yards. Jeremiah Smith, 2 catches, 12 yards. It was just kind of, this is just kind of what the spring game is every year. So we'll be talking about numbers and you'll go, that's not very much. Yes, that is very much not very much. That's kind of how this is. So it just felt like we needed to sort of prepare the battlefield here to make sure people are all sort of on the same page.
I like that. And so, Tom, considering you may have won the all season long prediction battle last year, if you would like to go first and what we're doing is we're doing a 1-pointer, a 2-pointer, and a 3-pointer. And Tom, just so you know, those predictions need to get an increase in boldness from 1 to 2 to 3, just so you are aware.
Okay. Well, so I think my 1 and my 2 are both similar boldness. I'm going to say, let's say for a 1-pointer, freshman running back Bo Jackson finishes with more than 34 yards rushing, including a run of 17 yards or more. And last year, there was only one person who did that, and that was Sam Williams-Dixon. So
No, I like this for so many reasons. Obviously, the holy numbers of 17 and 34. You talk about Bo Jackson and you throw in the 34. It's got his own connotation there. So I like this one because it is. I think the 17 is perhaps more bold than the 34. But tying them together, when frankly 34 yards in a sprint game could also be bold. We have no earthly idea, and that is the fun. So I agree with this one. I like this one. Tom, here's my one pointer for you. No completions of 30 yards or more in this game because I don't know. That's, I'm thinking like, well, what is the reason? I don't know. And lack of time to throw the ball, lack of Jeremiah Smith is going to play 2 snaps. And, from what we've seen this spring, there's been a lot of short stuff more so than long stuff. I should have gone 34 yards as I was saying that, but I did take my finger off the checker, and I'm saying no completions of 30 yards in this game.
Do you know the long pass last year in the spring game? 25.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know how many quarterbacks had a pass longer than 18 yards last year in the spring game?
One.
Was it Devin Brown to David Adolph probably in the dying minutes of the game?
Okay.
Probably.
Right. So how about this?
Go ahead. I'm listening to, I'm willing to negotiate here. We're not.
Because my other thing was thinking that there will be an interception return longer than the longest pass play. But I don't know if that's a 1 or a 2,
Yeah, let's put it this way. I like that one. We'll hear your others, and then we can sort of sort them in order.
All right.
My next one, there were 6 sacks in last year's spring game total. No one had more than 1 sack. So 1 sack for Edric Houston, 1 sack for Mitchell Melton, 1 sack for Jack Sawyer, 1 sack for Hero Canoe, 1 sack for Jason Moore, and 1 sack for Caden Curry. That was last year's. So this year, not only am I going to say that a player gets 2 sacks, Tony, I'm going to tell you which player it is going to be that's going to get 2 sacks. Would you like to guess which player I have in mind?
I will say Dominic Kirks.
C.J. Hicks, Tony. C.J. Hicks, I think, even though he has been on the team a while and is a veteran, I think he's someone who is going to get more than just sort of the cursory. Like I would feel very uncomfortable picking Caleb Downs to have any kind of specific stats or Sonny Styles to have any specific stats because they're not going to play much. But I think C.J. Hicks, new position, still kind of learning things, but we've seen some flashes from him. I think you're going to see enough C.J. Hicks. Like, I'm not expecting him in the 4th quarter against the walk-ons or anything like that, but I think you're going to see enough C.J. Hicks that he'll be in there for several drives, and you'll have an opportunity to see him pick up not 1, Tony, but 2 sacks.
And you might be seeing him against the second-team offensive line as well. And the good thing about the spring is it's just a tap. That's all it takes for a sack. He doesn't need to tackle anybody. So 2 feels low, but also, again, if you win this, Tom, congrats on you. Like, I'm not going to lose sleep over something as silly as a bold prediction contest. So I'll be okay with that one. As I'm looking at mine now, like my 2-pointer feels a little too bold. So it's too bold. It's more of a 3 or 4 or a 10-pointer. So let's see here. How about this, Tom? I kind of want to have a scrap this one because here's my 2-pointer, which I think is too bold. CJ Donaldson has a touchdown rushing and receiving. And, we've seen him used in the flats. We know we saw him score a couple of touchdowns in the last practice, the student appreciation. So, like, I can see this happening, but I'm thinking, yeah, but why not boldly predict something that's more likely to happen? Or is it so difficult? Like, something that doesn't need to happen twice, something that only needs to happen once. I'm thinking, what can Tavian St. Clair do? And how about this? What if my 2-point bold prediction, you can tell me if this is worth 2 or not. He's a true freshman quarterback. Like, this is going to be his first time in the shoe in front of a crowd. What if he has the long completion of the day?
Yeah. The last one certainly far more bold. I I might even flip-flop your 1 and your 2, because what was your 1 again?
The one was no completions of 30 yards or more.
Oh, yeah, that's not bold at all.
And then we also
So
talked about the interception return being longer than
Mhm.
the touchdown,
Yeah, I'll
or
tell
than
you
the
what,
longer pass.
if you want Tavian St. Clair's long pass be the long pass of the day to be your 1-pointer, and
Okay.
the interception return longer than the longest reception to be your 2-pointer, I'd be 100% on board with that one.
Well, that's you're too eager about that one. I'll
Well,
do
no,
the
that's a good one, and if you wanna make CJ Donaldson scores 2 touchdowns, regardless of rushing or receiving, I would be fine with that one as well.
yeah,
Because
but I'm also
last year they scored 3 touchdowns on the ground and 1 through the air, so
I'll go with this. Tavian St. Clair has the long pass play of the day for 1 point. CJ Donaldson, 2 touchdowns. I also wonder, like, how much is he going to play? Yeah, you want him to play a little bit, but there's no real reason for it. So he's going to have to get those touchdowns quickly. So I will do this instead, Tom. How about instead of CJ Donaldson scoring twice, what if it's Bo Jackson?
that's fine. Anyone you're gonna pick to score twice in a
Mhm.
spring game, I think that's pretty much automatically a yes, just because there does not tend to be a lot of scoring in these games,
Mhm.
and they're gonna be shuffling through a bunch of running backs. James Peoples is gonna play, I'm sure he'll be in there in the thud. I would guess you'll see him a little bit during the tackle portion. CJ Donaldson, you'll probably see during the tackle portion. But then you've got Isaiah West, who's banged up, but you've got Bo Jackson, you got TC Caffey, you've got other guys who they're going to be trying to get in there and shuffle through. So
Mhm.
there are not that many carries available during the spring game. Like I say that, and then last year they had 57 carries.
Well,
But
I'd still rather it happen during tackle portion rather than thud. So going with Bo
yeah,
Jackson, where
yeah,
you're not down as soon as you're touched, I feel
mhm.
maybe I've got a better chance with that one.
Yeah. I think that's one that is a perfectly legitimate one. So all right, so my 3-pointer. So this is a multi-parter. You're going to
Mhm.
want to put another caveat on here, and we can negotiate that. But Tony, there is exactly 1 touchdown pass thrown all day, and the person who throws it is Lincoln Keenholz. Now, if we wanna, I was trying to figure out, like,
Right.
putting a specific receiver on there is probably too much of a
Mhm.
restriction. If we want to exclude throws from outside the 17-yard line or something like that, we could do that, but
Hmm. Yeah, it has to be headed towards the south end zone. That's even too much, I think. You probably just need it can't be see you say between can't be between like the 17 or 34, but I also feel like most of the touchdown passes are going to be inside the 17. And saying it can't be between it can't come in inside the 17-yard line, that's also kind of restrictive. Maybe if I take away 2 receivers?
maybe that depends on which receivers you want to take away.
Um, I would probably take away Carnell Tate and Brandon Innes,
Mm,
and you would not like that.
I would not like that.
How
No.
about how about 1 veteran and 1 freshman?
As long as the freshman isn't Quincy Porter, yes.
No, I'll do this. It can't be to Brandon Innes or Max Clare.
Those are really good choices, and I'm really annoyed about it. And now I can really see this happening, and it's going to be Brandon Ennis, and I'm going to be so annoyed, but that's fine. But
Okay.
how about this? If he does throw to one of those guys and there's a touchdown, then that touchdown's negated, and it's like it never happened. And then if he throws another one to someone else, then it does count, because that makes it, as overly
Mhm.
complicated as we like to do here. Make sure you write all of this down so we don't have controversy later.
Well, and the thing is, I like that you're going back to your time-honored tradition of a thing happening, canceling out something else happening. Just like as in our previous
We're gonna
season-long prediction where the 17-yard touchdowns cancel out anything between the 11 and the 20.
No, see, Tony, we're trying something new for the new year.
Mm,
That's what we're
mm.
doing here.
I don't know that we are. So Lincoln Keenholz is the only guy who throws a touchdown pass, but it cannot be to BI or Max Clare unless
Unless he throws another one to someone else.
Unless he throws a second one to someone else.
But if he throws 3, then that would still negate it.
And Tom, I'll even do you this. If he throws 2 touchdowns and one is to Ennis and one is to Claire, it's a multiplying 2 negatives and it works for you.
I love it. It's fantastic.
I'm not writing it down. We'll just have to remember that.
People are remembering right now. Oh yeah, these shows are really stupid. That's right. I forgot. It's been a while.
Welcome to the spring. So my last one here, Tom, my 3-pointer is that Devin Sanchez or Jalen McClain will have a pick 6.
Ooh, all right. And that's
Jalen McClain, didn't he have a pick 6 last year? Or like maybe they blew it dead.
They blew it dead. Yeah. So he had an interception. He had an interception that
and I think like Carson Hinsman touched him and they like blew it dead or something like that.
Yeah, there were 4 interceptions. Oh boy, there were 4 interceptions last year. I didn't remember.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like Will Howard and Devin Brown, they were not good. So now, these are really good quarterbacks they've got now.
Yeah, Inky Jones had 1, Calvin Simpson Hunt had 1, Deontay Griffin had 1, and Jalen McClain had 1. So yes, and Jalen McClain did look like he was probably going to take it back. But yeah, I mean, a pick 6 in this, you're subject to the same rules about he's tapped down, whatever. Like you could lose one on this, and the opportunity for you to lose what feels like it should be a 3-pointer on what you will view as a controversial tag. I mean, man, the joy that will bring to my heart, Tony, it's just, this is why spring is the best time of the year.
Well, and this is why you taking CJ Hicks with 2 sacks when all he needs to do is touch somebody to have them down, and me going with the pick 6 when all that person needs to do is be touched to be down. Like, this is just an example of the level of boldness that I participate at, that I operate at, another level higher than another different plane of boldness. Whereas you are just plain bold. Your boldness is plain. Like, I'm on another plane. PLAIN is what you are. PLANE is what I am. And that'll do it, Tom. Any concerns, questions, thoughts before we go?
No, we should probably let people know that we are going to be at the Horseshoe on Friday morning to watch the final pre-spring game practice of the spring. It is not one where we can bring in cameras, but we will probably be able to, I'm going to guess we will have kind of an instant reaction show after that to sort of break down what we saw, what we learned, what we heard. That was the practice last year where Jeremiah Smith had the one-hand catch that, we couldn't have any cameras in there, but, one of the Ohio high school coaches was there to capture the moment, and everyone went crazy on social media. So, I don't know, they may keep Jeremiah Smith kind of wrapped up and not risk anything, but this is generally a spot where you get to see some cool stuff. So looking forward to that.
Definitely. So find that tomorrow. Just go to youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Hit the bell to be notified when we drop a show there, like we'll drop this one. And of course, continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com as well. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later.